Thank you everyone for joining and welcome to Forge Partner Talks Configurators. I'm Sanjana Chen, the Developer Marketing Manager on the Forge marketing team. We've disabled the use of your video and microphone. Please use the Q&A tab to submit questions. I will guide the question and answer portion at the end. If we cannot get to your question in the last 15 minutes, we do have a blog series to answer the questions we didn't get to. We will be recording the session and we'll make it available to you as soon as we can. Our host today is Emily Sherbetsky. Please take it away, Emily.
Thank you, Sanjana. All right, good morning, good afternoon. Thank you all again for joining. As Sanjana mentioned, my name is Emily Sherbetsky. I work on the Autodesk Forge team, and this is the third in our series of May webinars. Just to note that we're actually going to be extending this webinar series based on the great feedback we've gotten from everyone. And we'll be announcing the new cadence for the webinars and the new set of topics that we're going to be covering in June next week. So stay tuned for that. Remember to submit questions throughout the session as they come up, and we'll address them at the end in our Q&A portion. And with that, let's jump into today's session on configurators. Before we meet our panelists, I just want to quickly address the question of what we mean by configurators. So today we're going to be talking about product configurators, or tools used for the configuration of products based on components. And we're specifically talking about web-based configurators that allow customers to automatically modify a product's design geometry through interaction with a web application. And as you might be able to deduce, by allowing customers to input on the design of their products, configurators enable mass customization, and they provide a whole lot of other benefits to partners, such as reducing lead times, accelerating the sales cycle, automating documentation processes, and a lot more. But with that, I'll let our panelists speak to the solutions and the benefits they have found with them a little bit further. So let's meet our panelists. First up, we have Sandip Jadhav from CCTech in India. Can you introduce yourself and your company quickly?
Yes, sure. Hello, everyone. Good morning. I'm Sandip. I'm a CEO of CCTech. We are Pune-based company in India. So CCTech is being a system integration partner for last 8 years, and we have developed a range of solutions based on Inventor platform and Revit platform. We have our own simulation platform called simulationHub, in which we have a vertical apps for control valve industry, HVAC industry, and I will be demoing and talking about them. Thank you, Emily.
Great, thank you. All right, next we have Thiago Almeida from Shedmate in Australia. Can you please introduce yourself and your company?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. Good morning for people in America. Good afternoon or evening for people on the other side of the world. Yeah, basically, we are a company that was created just basically 1 year ago, and we started using this whole new thing called Forge, right, to design a product that can actually produce designs or sheds in our case in a blink of the eye, basically. Basically, in minutes, you now are able to produce full sets of documentation, bin data without even needing to open up Revit. So that's basically our goal there.
Great. Thank you, Thiago. All right, and last but not least, we have Tom Angert from IMAGINiT, based here in the US. Tom, would you like to introduce yourself and your company?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, my name is Tom Angert. I'm the manager of software development here at IMAGINiT Technologies. IMAGINiT is a full-service Autodesk Platinum reseller based in the U.S. We've got 40 some odd offices throughout the U.S. and Canada. We've got an army of technical resources to do training, implementation, consulting. We've got teams that are dedicated to manufacturing, AEC, data management, PLM, facilities management, simulation, reality capture. And most importantly, we do custom software development. So that's my team. I've got a dedicated project manager, eight full-time developers. We focus, historically, we focus primarily in AutoCAD, Inventor, Revit, and Vault, but we'll touch anything that's from Autodesk that has an API. And then, in the past few years, we've touched all aspects of Forge and have done a good bit of development there. Over the years, we've done configurators in all different shapes and sizes on a myriad of different platforms. So
great. So staying with you, Tom, you mentioned implementing a variety of different configurator solutions.
Sure.
Can you talk a little bit about the high-level benefits that customers have found through configurators?
Well, I think one of the things that's most compelling about configurators is you've got the ability to take CAD resources, the drawings, the models, that sort of thing, and make it available to people outside of engineering. Configurators, they can do a ton of different things. They reduce lead times, improve the quality and speed at which somebody gets documentation out of those systems. All the efficiency that goes along with that, the elimination of rework, and I think a lot of times you've got the ability to engage customers more intimately with your product and sort of have a sense of ownership in what they're building or requesting, and that can certainly lead to stickiness with your client base.
Absolutely. So would you like to jump into an example of one configurator solution you built and maybe show us the demo?
Sure. Let me get this running here. All right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to kind of let this thing run in the background. This is this is a large, complex configurator that we've developed over the course of the past couple of years for a company called Advanced Drainage Systems, ADS. And these guys are market leaders in stormwater management. So basically, when somebody's putting a parking lot or parking garage or something like that, where you're preventing rainwater from absorbing into the ground, you kind of don't want it running off and flooding everything. So they have products, chambers and pipes that they'll put under the ground to store that rainwater and let it slowly leach into the ground. I'm not an expert in stormwater management, and I'm guessing there's probably pretty close to 0 people on this call that are interested in that. So I'm not gonna bore you with the picks and clicks of what's going on here. We'll just sort of let it run, and you can watch that. And I'll speak more to I think how the client went about deciding that this was the right path for them to go down. They had a great problem, right? They were seeing some significant growth, and engineering was the bottleneck for them. All the requests that came into ADS really had to flow through engineering, even the simplest of ones, and they were finding that it could take anywhere from a couple days to maybe a week to get these things turned around. And then you've got the problem that not all of those requests become orders. So with that growth, they really had 2 options. Buy more seats and put engineers in them at a significant cost, or find some other way to take that burden off of engineering. So they decided to engage with us as a partner and to develop a configurator. What we created here is a web-based system that allows the user to log in and create a design. As you can see, what's happened here is you've got the ability to pull in a site underlay and scale it, and then define the pipes or chambers that they want in the right configuration there. And it's enforcing their business rules, and it really gets them a long way down the road to a good design. At the end of that, they can save or submit their request, get an email back with all of the interesting documentation that you'd want to see: the layout, the details, the elevation, the BOM, quote for pricing, all of that sort of thing. And if the user is ultimately happy with that design, because the end user here is tends to be a civil engineer or someone like that who's got the ability to look at it and go, yeah, that looks right to me. If they are happy with that, they've got the ability to to promote that request to an order and get it to flow through the system with very little involvement from ADS's engineering team.
Mm-hmm.
If there is a need for something custom, you've got the ability for the engineers at ADS to pick up where the client left off with it. And so this is cycling through Forge design automation on the back end. So what that means to the engineering department is that there's a full inventor model that's created from as far as the client was able to get it, that they can just pick up and run with. So they don't have to redo everything that the client's already spent time doing, and they can focus really just on addressing the complexity of that system that the configurator isn't able to address. So that's a huge benefit to them.
So if I'm hearing correctly, Tom, I'm hearing in terms of benefits, it empowers the customers to complete the design packages themselves online, and it cuts down engineering time. Do we know by how much it cuts down engineering time? You mentioned it was pretty high previously.
Yeah, so it was interesting for them. I mean, they were really faced with a choice of growing their engineering department by about 18 people. So they've been able to to offset that by putting this in place. They've seen the upfront design time on these projects reduced by something like 70%.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean that's a huge benefit, and their engineers are now able to to focus more easily on the complex scenarios, the high value stuff, the stuff that's become an order, as opposed to people who are maybe just kind of kicking tires with ADS and determining, hey, is this going to be the right company for us to do business with? Great.
And then the last benefit I also heard was scalability, right? So just the compute power. You mentioned using design automation in the Forge platform that just really allows you to do so much more faster, right? Yeah.
I mean, they've got a system that's out there 24/7. So civil engineer doesn't need to to wait on their engineering department's schedule. They can go out and do stuff, kick it off whenever they want, and it really has been a great platform for them.
Great, that's an awesome introduction. Okay, thank you for sharing that.
Sure thing.
Yeah, let's move over to Sandip. Would you like to tell us about a configurator-based application that your team has built?
Yes, so we have been working in valves industries. Valves are used in different sort of industries like oil and gas, HVAC, AEC, process industry. And we have built a vertical app around that, which has significantly reduced the time for valve manufacturer to actually test them, validate their design, and it also helps them in doing a more sale, more marketing. So that's the app we have built. We have also built apps for HVAC industry, in which many of the HVAC professionals are using AutoCAD. But when it comes to the simulation, we need a 3D model. So what we are doing is we are helping them to convert their AutoCAD design, 2D design into a 3D BIM model using Configurator. So this kind of applications are what we are building. We have also built one of the configurator for a power plant industry, which basically set up the plant in a geographical location in distress, such as earthquake or some other thing. So they need to do this whole design very quickly with the government officials who do not have access to the CAD software and these things. So this web-based application also help them to quickly come up with a final proposal. Earlier, they were taking a month time that they could reduce to 3 to 4 days. So that's substantial fast, because once they get that approval going, they can quickly go to manufacturing and actually setting up the plant. So
Great.
various kinds.
Do you have a specific demo of one of the applications that you want to share with us today?
Yes. So I would like to demo our walls app. So it's what we call is autonomous wall CFD, because the traditional CFD applications are very time consuming. For a one wall simulation, it takes around 5 days. We are able to do that in just a couple of hours. The reason that we are able to do or bring that autonomous feature is by automation and intelligence. So what we do is we ask user to upload their design. It can be any software. It can be inventor file, step file, SAT files. Once they bring their design in this web-based application, they actually able to modify certain aspects of those designs. So it able to generate the different configurations from one design, because wall is basically a kind of a dynamic device. So it opens and closes the flow. So while doing a simulation, you need to do all of those designs to be generated. And that design generation process, we use Inventor IO at a backend. So here, as you can see, we are asking user to select the moving components, what kind of movement it has. So if it's a butterfly wall, we ask it to provide the rotation movement. And if it is a globe wall, then we ask to provide a lift. And then we take that design to at a backend in Inventor IO, generate different design configurations, and run the simulations for them. So it's interesting that they don't need any software or CAD software, anything to do that. They are able to do it from their own, I would say, any computing device. And at the end of it, what they get is a completely detailed CFD analysis. I will just quickly jump to the next part. So they get basically these curves, which they need to submit to big oil and gas companies or AEC companies, so that they can use this wall appropriately. They can choose those devices appropriately. We also allow them to show a good visualization, which helps them in the marketing and sort of stuff. They can embed this design in their own websites. So multiple level of benefits is what we provide in this.
Great. And so just to take a step back for anyone out there on the call that, like me, might not have come into this knowing what CFD means, it's computational fluid dynamics, and it's a simulation technique to simulate the flow of liquid and fluid. So your application lets valve manufacturers really simulate the fluid flow in pipes and then analyze the makeup of the valves they want to build. Is that a correct summary?
Yes,
okay.
absolutely.
Yeah. It may seem niche at first glance, but valve manufacturers actually cater to oil and gas, construction, heating, ventilation companies. It's really a big industry, and each company has very different specifications and different needs for the valves that they want to use. Yes. So how was this addressed previously before your simulationHub app, and how has your simulationHub app really streamlined the process?
So one of the challenge a wall manufacturer faced was the time. So what they were required to do is that actually physically prototype this wall, manufacture this wall, send it to the different laboratories. In US, there is a Utah laboratory which does a lot of wall testing. And then they will test this physically through a flow loop test and then provide the report. So it's a very expensive process. And each wall manufacturer has two type of standards. So there is a API standard, which is used in US geography. And then there is an ISO standard, which is used in the rest of the world. So they typically have thousands of designs, and actually manufacturing them and testing them becomes very, very expensive, because on an average it costs around $5,000. And in this thing, we are able to provide them in just $50 one wall. So there's substantial price saving, and a very validated and verified design is what we're able to generate.
Wonderful. Okay. Yeah, that's great. And then in terms of the use of Forge, you mentioned design automation. Is that correct? How else have you used Forge to build this application?
So we are using Inventor IO at a backend to generate those design. If you have a time, I would like to show a very quick demo of Revit IO also, or might be we can do it later.
Yeah, if it's short, maybe we can just take a peek at it.
Yeah. So we are also building an app for HVAC industry, and I thought there are a lot of folks who have joined the call are from AEC, and they would be really interested in doing that. So the application we first built was just asking for a Revit file, and then we realized many of them do not have a Revit software. They mostly are on AutoCAD. They want to move towards Revit, but it takes time in doing that. So what we did is we helped them to make a 2D configurations of the office spaces. And in office spaces, what kind of furniture they are going to place, we allow them to create that within just a browser. We take all of this information and go back to the Revit. So we run a Revit IO instance at a backend and generate this a 3D BIM design from all of this, so that they can do a complete CFD simulation for the whole setup. So it's a very interesting application, which we found because it's still in early stage of development, and some of the people who are already started trying this app, we had a great feedback about this, that this is what they want, a very quick application to generate those BIM design, and basically without spending so much of time. So there is a time saving, and then there is also I would say that everyone doesn't need Revit to be installed on their desk. So that's one of the advantage what I think this generated, and they get a complete 3D BIM model at the end of the process. I'll just quickly jump to that. So it's a complete BIM model that's get generated, and using that you can do then the whole rest of the simulation process seamlessly.
Great. That's great. Thanks for sharing that with us. All right, let's switch gears and move over to Thiago. And Thiago, do you want to tell us a little bit about the solution that your company is building?
Yeah, sure. So let me try to share my screen here with you guys. And let me know when you guys can see it.
Yep.
All right, so we are Shedmate. We're a startup that we started working on getting mass production of sheds, basically. And we are working with Forge and design automation for Revit to generate those designs. Here you have an example of something that happens every day on shed companies. You have a shed that is like 12 meters wide, and all of a sudden the client asks for you, hey, can you actually change that dimension for me? And it's just 1 meter, but sometimes that 1 meter changes the whole thing. You know, you need to redesign the bracings, you need to redesign your trusses, your, framings and everything else. So that might take a couple of hours sometimes, but if you have a lot of different designs to do and your engineering team is flat out, sometimes that needs to be, moved towards not just hours, but days and even months, depending on the problem. So basically what we design here is a way to do that in real time. Okay, so our first question was, what if anyone can actually streamline this process so they can design their sheds in real time and have full documentation of it? So what if non-Revit users can use the solutions to actually bring time and money savings for their clients? So we came up with Shedmate, which is a totally online browser-based platform that you can design the sheds and see the updates in real time. All the framing will update. Everything else that builds up that that structure will update for you, and you can do that on your iPad. You can do that on your in the field with your phone, and yeah, everything is traced back to the office. So this is the end result of the designs that we can get. So this is like a screenshot of Revit with all the shades created. We have here floor plans, we have elevations, we have 3D views. Everything is fully documented, annotated, everything that you actually need to move that project forward on your pipeline. not only just, basic documentation, but we can even push it forward, to quantity takeoff. Something really important for us is cut lists, or the cut lists, and purchase orders, which takes a lot of time. So basically, just by designing the shed or any type of building for that matter, in a web configuration, you can actually push that data forward to Forge and then extract all this rich information out of it. And the best thing of all of this is just because you don't actually need to have all this knowledge, because the whole system will streamline the process for you. So you just need to know what the basic dimensions of your structure, and then the system will streamline the process for you. Okay. So some of the advantage that we've got out of this was, a huge time saving, cost reductions. We get our projects to the client much faster now, and we can basically have the council approval or even fabrication much faster than we could ever do before. So our company here, the company that Shedmate was born, we had like something around 200, 250 sheds per year. So that was a huge, struggle in the office, especially on the design team and the engineering team to actually get all this data to our clients. Sometimes you can say, hey, but sheds are really simple, right? But the problem is, it's just not the design itself. It goes much more than that. It has all this tons of information that you need to, make sure everything is right and it's ready for fabrication. Because people on the workshop, sometimes they don't get the fully fledged information there. They don't get all the minor decisions that were made during the design phase. So basically what we've done was streamline this whole process, get the information from them, for them as soon as possible. And much more important than that, get the right information at the right time. So they can actually open up a Shedmate or even BIM 360 that we connect to as well, to actually have that information at their hands on, whatever device they're using. Okay, so we have much more reliable output. CAD and BIM software, you don't actually need to install them. You can use that on your web browser, basically. And yeah, so that's some of the advantages.
Do you have the actual kind of, perfect, the demo? That's what I wanted to see. Okay.
This one. So I'm actually taking some risks here, and I'll actually try to demo this live. All right.
Very risky. But let's try it.
All right. So I'll even push further, and I'll actually click on this link here and invite everyone to participate with me. Since this is a collaborative application, I'll actually copy this link and paste that on the chat. And also, if you have like a mobile device, like an iPad or tablet or anything, you can actually, scan this QR code here if you want to have a look. But let me actually try to share this with you guys. Can I? Oh, sorry. Q&A? No. Where's the?
I think you're looking for the chat window.
Chat window. Where's the chat window? Sorry, guys. I cannot see the chat window here. Oh, there you go. So if you guys want to have a look, you can actually click on that link, and that will take you for a demo as well, and you'll see exactly what I'm seeing on my screen. And what I'll do here is to change my design. So I can go for like dimensions here and actually change the roof, the angle of the roof. And you should probably see this real time on your computer. Let me just refresh this. So this is what I'm changing on my design here. And I can actually actually configure this thing real time. So I can actually place like a roller door here on the side, and you will see that thing should be updating, right? So I can put like roller doors here on the side. And if you go to visibility, for instance, you go fabrication, and you can actually see this, how some people are saying that it's not updating on your end. So let's try that again. Okay. So basically here, we have the design of this particular shed right there. If you guys can't see it, just refresh the page. It should work. And here you can see that I've placed some roller doors on the side, and the shed will update automatically. So it will actually create all the framings for you, all the connections that you need. And it's basically recalculating itself. It's running thousands of calculations in the background to make sure everything is in compliance to the codes and everything is ready for fabrication, okay? So at the same time, we can actually send this information. So people that can't see the shed updating, just refresh the page, you should see it now. So if I change the design here, you should be able to change to see those changes happening live on your screen as well. Okay, so let me just show here an example of placing another roller door here, and I'll actually before that, I'll actually come in here and say, let's brace this bay, and you can see that if I place a roller door here on the side, it will actually remove the base and make sure that sidewall there is prepared for receiving that roller door. It will actually make the rebates on the concrete here and everything else. So it's really a streamlined process, and you don't actually need to know everything about the engineering of this thing to create this, right? So after I have all this information ready to go, let me just go back here to default. Let me just place some things in here as well. Let's place some skylights. Let's place some spinaways, and there you have it. So after I do that, I can actually see like bill of materials in real time as well. So if I put this side by side, you can see that if I make any changes to my design in here, the bill of materials will update accordingly as well. Right? So this is everything is happening in real time, right? And after I complete my design, I can actually go here to process files and send all this information to BIM 360 and design automation for Revit. So just to make it easier and faster here, I'll just go to storage, and let's see a demo file here that I've done before. I can actually download this file, I can transfer that to BIM 360, but I'll actually download this file so you guys can see the end results of this entire process. So I'm actually downloading a DWFX file, which is a Autodesk format that has BIM information to it. So here we can see that I have designed a site plan for this model as well. We do this automatically as well. So there's a site design module as well. But you can see here that we have the elevations, we have section views, we have section views here with all the information that is required to get this council approved. We have general details. We have, basically all the information that needs to be sent in this first, conversation with the client, and also for the council approval. So it's basically a way for designing a construction like this in minutes from any device, basically.
Awesome. Thank you, Thiago. Thank you for sharing that and making it interactive. So I think, we've seen examples of configurators now in building and in manufacturing. We've really seen the power that configurators can bring and the benefits it can bring to the customers that it's serving. I'm curious for each one of you what challenges you found in building configurator solutions? Anything around scalability? Has it been industry specific? What have you found to be most challenging? An open question. I can call on each of you too, but.
Yeah, so I think you know, some of the challenges that we see, you know, a lot of times the clients that we're dealing with aren't software developers, right? I mean, so I think in some cases there's a learning process there of you know, what you're asking for and how to get there ultimately. And one of the things that you always have to keep in mind is, I had seen a question that was posed by one of the attendees here about adoption, right? I mean, how do these systems get picked up and used? Ultimately, they're going to be used if that person finds benefit in it, right? I mean, so if the user is getting some sort of benefit out of it, whether it's a quicker turnaround, you know, or more reliable documentation or whatever that is, that's what's going to drive that adoption. So I think we've seen cases where clients have come to us and they haven't necessarily thought out some of those things or understood ultimately what's going to be the value to the users and to them as a client. And the clients who come with a good understanding of that certainly have more successful projects.
Do you see, as you mentioned, some customers may know what they want more than others. Do you find you're proposing configurators to solve their problems more often than they're coming to you asking for configurator-based solutions?
I don't know. I mean, I think the people who come to us asking questions sort of maybe at some level have seen something, right? I mean, even if it's, you know, how to lay out your own deck at a Lowe's or a Home Depot, right? I mean, they have those little things there. Everybody's seen, you know, something like that to some degree, and I think they come with different images in their head for sure. So you know, so a big part of the engagement from our side is making sure that they are really thinking out where's the benefit for them and for the user going to lie with the solution that they're looking at.
Great. Sandip or Thiago, anything to add there around challenges or challenges for adoption that you found with customers?
Yeah, there's a lot of challenges that we face every day building a new solution. This is not exactly, you know, towards configurators or anything else, but any new project that we are trying to push, I believe Forge is an example of that. It needs to get some time before people actually start using it and seeing the benefits. But I believe that the industry is heading towards a new, you know, a new phase of automation. And I believe when people started using those solutions, there's no way back. There's no coming back from there.
Yeah.
So I had seen some challenges. There were some technical challenges in very early days when we started working in 2015, but we worked closely with Autodesk teams and kind of addressed them and got the solutions. So those were easy ones. One of the challenge I saw in one of the company was more of, I would say, social or moral problem. Like this kind sort of automation could replace 10 engineers job or 10 draftsmen job. And that was one of the challenging thing that we had. But then there was also a scene that, oh, same people can use it on some other productive things, because might be this is a task that can be automated and bring up the productivity up. So that kind of challenge comes up in configurator kind of projects at some time. So.
Yeah, I would like to add on this one as well. We had faced similar problems as well. You know, showing this to the public, sometimes they will say, "Hey, this can actually cut out some jobs, right?" But at the end of the day, when people start using all these automations, they will actually see that it's not actually, you know, replacing jobs, but it's actually empowering these users to, you know, produce more and be more confident that the end result will be, much better. I can actually, make sure, using a configurator like that, I can make sure that my design will be, the way that it's supposed to be. Sometimes if you're doing a lot of work, you actually, sometimes you miss something, and using something like this empowers you to make sure that that design is actually correct. That design is actually the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. I think we probably should move over to audience Q&A. I've seen some questions coming in, and I want to make sure that we have time to address them. So I'd like to invite Sanjana to join us and share what's on our audience's mind.
Sure. Yeah, we did have a lot of great questions come in. We can start with this one. This is an open one for anyone who wants to jump in first. Do any of you have web development teams that create these web tools with Forge, or are you doing this by yourself? And Sandip, I know you started answering this question already, so you're welcome to start if you like.
Right. So yes, we have our in-house web development team. So typically, anyone who starts to work on Forge has to get into the web development, cloud application development. And once upon a time, we were more desktop-centric company. So we have to train our resources and hire new resources in that direction. But all of that is good because that is the way the whole industry is going towards. So yes, we have an in-house team, and through which we also provide a consulting services to other companies.
Yeah, and from IMAGINiT side, I mean, we're really that team for people who are looking to maybe take on a configurator and don't have in-house development, right? I mean, they'll partner with us as a system integrator to do some of that to do that work for them. So
That makes sense. This one just came in. Are the configurators like Shedmate scalable? Is it strictly limited to the type of project, or could it be modified to different types, I guess, of structures or simulations?
Well, in the end of the day, anything can be automated, right? Some things are more complex, some things are easier. This could be used for any purposes. Actually, you could use that for modular constructions. You can use that for anything you can think of. If you can automate it, that's it. Our goal here on Shedmate is to target sheds, all different sorts of sheds. But yeah, that's scalable for any type of construction, actually.
Again, concerning Shedmate, how are quantity takeoffs calculated? Is it based on the geometry of the shed models?
Exactly. So we created a 3D engine to run underneath it. So it's actually calculating all the frames and the positions and the cuts and the connections and everything, and then it's like real time sending that information down the line. So you have that. It's basically a real time Revit schedule, but on the web.
Great.
Sanjana, can I jump in? Because
Yeah.
I see a question that I can actually help answer a little bit. So Jose asked, I don't have a software development team in my company. Who could I reach out to develop something like that? So two of our panelists today are actually also Forge certified systems integrators. And our Forge certified systems integrator program is basically a collection of companies who have proven to us here at Autodesk that they know how to build on Forge, are very skilled in using all of the different Forge APIs and services. And many of them have experience building these type of configurator solutions. So you can go to the website and look for any of them. IMAGINiT and CCTech here today are both systems integrators and would be happy to help develop solutions similar to configurators, custom to what your needs are. Anything to add? Tom or Sandip, I just answered that for you guys.
No, I think I think that's the long and short of it, right?
Okay.
Great. Yeah, that was my next one anyway. Okay, so about how long does it take to get up and running with one of these configurators?
Wow. Yeah, that's that's a widely varying answer to that question. I'll tell you for the configurator that I showed earlier for the stormwater management. I mean, that's a project that's been going for I don't know, maybe a year and a half, and they were able to address about 50% of their business through that phase. I mean, they're now in the middle of a new phase. It's probably going to run about the same amount of time. So there's certainly there's certainly big configurator projects. We've also done some where it's a matter of a handful of weeks, a month or two maybe. It really depends on the business rules that you're trying to capture. I mean, you saw the demo from Thiago and how involved that is, right? And if you're going to have the model readjust when you drop a door in on the fly, although capturing all of those business rules and implementing them, ultimately that's what's going to drive the time and effort for configurator project is the business rule side of things, more so than the technology, right? I mean, you need a web interface, so you need to do some web development, and if you've got something like design automation, whether it's Inventor or Revit or AutoCAD or Max or whatever on the back end, those pieces are there. The part that's really variable is what you need to do specific to your business, your industry. That's going to determine the size of the effort, I think.
Yes, I think as Tom mentioned, it's very variable. So you can build a proof of concept in just 15 days. And if it's a full-fledged thing, then it goes for a year or so. I think I generally found most of the Forge-related projects are between 3 months to 6 months. That's mostly get turned around and quickly. And that's one of the best thing of using a Forge, because they are ready APIs, they are already tested, validated, and then you don't need to bother about scale up and all that. I think one more point that I would like to add is, if you already have a desktop application on Inventor or on Revit, then taking this on a cloud and making this as a web app may take a very less time, because then we will be just working on that aspect of thing. So if you already have that, might be that's a good starting point to get going.
I can transition to the next question. How do you prepare your Revit model to be used on Forge?
Well, I guess it depends what you want to do. For instance, if you want to generate a Revit model, you're going to use design automation for Revit to do that. So that's a specific set of APIs there. If you want to transition that file to BIM 360, for instance, that's data management APIs. So it depends on what you're trying to do. In Shedmate, we are actually generating the models using design automation for Revit, and after that, we are actually storing that model in our cloud storage, and also transition that model when our customer wants to BIM 360. So yeah, it depends what you're trying to do. But so the question was specifically how you prepare your Revit model, right? So you just basically need to put the model in the cloud, in a cloud storage somewhere.
Pretty simple.
Yeah.
Another technology question, and maybe there are a few different answers to this. What would be the optimal software library to use for the 3D previews on a generator website?
Yeah, I mean,
Sorry.
I think the easiest answer there is Forge Viewer, right? I mean, that's certainly the easiest way to probably get something up and running. If you needed to do something on a website beyond that, you'd probably look at 3JS or something like that. which is what the Forge viewer is ultimately based on.
We prefer to use React a lot.
React, yeah.
Of our apps on React, and it's a very great technology. There are a lot of developer available in the market also, and there's a lot of knowledge also available, and it's continuously developing. So I would recommend React.
Okay, this one is specific to Thiago. You said we can export to Revit. After that, is there a way to change the model in Revit and import it back to Shedmate?
No, for what we are doing is just one lane street. Basically, we just send that information from our configurator to Revit, and after that, you can surely collaboratively open that shed in Revit. Share with BIM 360 design, for instance, or you can do whatever after that. But basically, we are sending all this information to Revit and moving forward from that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Can any of you speak to some of the biggest challenges that you faced when creating your configurator applications?
One of the, I think, challenges that for the newcomers is choosing the right technologies, and because when we look at some of the technologies that are available right now in web and cloud, there are too many options that one can look at. So orchestrating them, choosing a right component, choosing a right libraries is some of the time challenges. But then I think Autodesk Forge community has now grown up big. There are a lot of forums and things, system integration partner like us. I think there is now a lot of things that are available, but that is the only problem that I foresee and ourselves has gone through, is choosing a right technology or a right component is the thing. So.
I'm curious to hear from our panelists what you guys think is next for configurator solutions. There's obviously been a lot of improvements in terms of scalability and really being able to develop higher quality applications as we've progressed, but what do you see coming down the line? What are the next improvements, or what would you like to see in terms of being able to more quickly and efficiently deploy better solutions?
Well, from my side, I think in the short-term advancements, I think you're going to see people pushing configurators to integrate with more of their other systems, right? I mean, pull as much information from the as many of the silos that exist out there today as you can, and they're going to continue to to try to push that the reach of those configurators as far beyond engineering as they can meaningfully do that. So I think that's where we're going to see our clients pushing configurators near term. From a longer term standpoint, I think some of the things that are exciting to me is incorporating AR and VR into this, right? I mean, to be able to walk into an empty building and see or into a field and have Thiago slap some glasses on somebody and say, hey, here's your shed on your site and what it's going to look like, and sort of be able to walk through and visualize that. I mean, what that's going to do to closing that business and allowing customers to to catch things that they wouldn't see until that solution is dropped in place. I think that's a huge benefit for people. The other thing that I think you'll start to see is the incorporation of machine learning. Let's get to a point where not only does the client have the ability to say, hey, I think this is what I want, but let's have the computer tell them, hey, we think this is what you need. So I think those are a little further out, but I think that's where we'll see configurators start to go.
It's exciting.
Yeah, I think it will be a combination of configurator, machine learning, and generative design, in which actually there will be new designs that getting involved. And we are doing already some experiment with some of our clients, and the results are very interesting. And the designs that it evolves are like sometimes not as a human we are not thought about. So that's a very interesting direction that I think configurators will go for.
Great. We might have time for one more quick question. Sanjana, if there's anything to answer, and then we'll close this out.
Sure. Were there any difficulties migrating from an older to a newer Forge API version? Did anybody?
Yeah, from our side, that's been pretty seamless. I mean, there haven't been too many changes to Forge APIs that have caused much of a problem. Now, fundamentally, when you're using design automation, you've still got an underlying add-in for Inventor or Revit or whatever. So you've got the normal challenges that have always existed in the past of making sure that those work with the version of the product that you're interested in. But I would say by and large, that's not been much of a stumbling block for any of the configurator projects that we've done with Forge.
All right. So with that, thank you so much to all of you guys, our panelists, for sharing your great solutions and walking us through them. This is all really exciting. The session was recorded. We're going to post it. You'll find the link on our Forge blog. And please join us next week at the same time. We're going to be discussing data, dashboards, and insights. And it should be a great session. We have some great panelists, new panelists joining us then as well. You can find information and registration links for the next webinar sessions on the Forge blog. We'll also be sending an email follow-up tomorrow with a link to this recording and also more information about the next webinar. And yeah, thanks to all of you. Thanks to the audience for tuning in. I hope everyone has a great rest of their day.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Emily.